I'm moving on to my own. And I'm going to try to both fiddle with the PowerPoint and talk about the sessions. So that's going to be interesting to see how it works. I have some help from Matt Gordon and Marcus Ahlkvist Jensen. This is also a speaker, which we heard before. So we're the 3 M's, which Marcus mentioned.
Like M&M's, but with another M.
Yeah, M and M and M. Yeah. So we're kicking it off with Martin Cotterall, who is from, I don't know if it's Australia or New Zealand.
Martin's originally from the UK, but now lives in Australia.
It's Australia, right. He's going to talk about Azure storage, the ins and outs, and it's going to be basically anything that has to do with storage in Azure. What belongs to infrastructure as a service, what's in platform as a service, and what different options do I have with different compute options, and what kind of redundancy options do I have, and when are they applicable, and so on. So if you're looking at moving to Azure, whether it's to infrastructure as a service with VMs, or if you're going to use Azure SQL database or something else, then I think you should tune into this session to learn more about the storage options that you have. Next one is Timanta, who is going to talk about Azure analysis services. And for me, I'm a complete noob when it comes to analysis services. I must admit, I am a T-SQL guy. If I can't solve anything with T-SQL, then well, I'll write some more T-SQL and throw on it, more or less. So I'm going to be interested in what kind of level of what's kind of the prerequisites when I come into this session. Either I will just be lost from the get-go, or you might keep it on a level that even I can understand. I don't really know. So it'll be interesting, but it's going to be about well, shifting to an effective semantic model, and it's going to be done in Azure analysis services. So next up on my track, or track number 2 as it is going to be Heini Ilmarinen, which is also another New Stars of Data speaker, I think. And it's kind of interesting with Heini because she was a moderator on GroupBy before she did her first speaking. She's very good though as a speaker. She is an MCT, so she has done training classes and so on, but it's a bit different to take the stage on a conference. So she kind of took the chance for that during this pandemic when everything turned virtual. Anyway, she's going to talk about big data architecture patterns in for real world scenarios. So another big data related session. I don't know what more to say about it. I think I'll just skip over to the next one, which I think is known by some of you guys. It's just Blindbeck Asgeir. I used no, he's gone. Good. Then it's okay that I mispronounced the Danish name there. Just is going to talk about the traditional modern data warehouse. So traditional and modern. Well, you have the traditional data warehouse, and they have all these bits and pieces like Databricks and Synapse Analytics and so on and so on. And you probably have a lot of skills in your teams if you have worked with traditional data warehouses. So this session is going to focus a bit on that. And what do you do nowadays when you have all this experience within your teams for traditional data warehouses, and everything goes into these new three-letter abbreviations. So it's going to be an interesting one too. Next one, which is the last in a block of 60-minute sessions, is going to be Jovan Popovic talking about another Azure session, Azure data using T-SQL and Synapse SQL serverless pool. So I must admit that I'm going to either learn a lot or be lost in many of the tracks in this session, because as I said, I'm really a database engine. That's my specialty and what I do. So a lot of the things are outside of my comfort zone, which is very good for me. I So, I mean, he's going to talk about things that I know very little about. Again, he's going to talk about Parquet, and he's going to talk about Polybase and so on. And it's going to be SQL Server related, and it's going to be, if you're a SQL Server guy, database engine, you will at least be able to relate to what he's talking about. And then you will learn tons of new things. So, and that's it for Jovan. Then we come into a block of lightning talks. So these are 10-minute talks. It's a new thing for this episode of Data Weekender that we allowed for some lightning talks, and we got some really interested ones. So I have one block in my track, and then on Mark's track, we're going to have 2 blocks of lightning talks. We're starting out with Aaron Perot, who's going to talk about why we need why we need to think about exposing BI data via Teams and Yammer. And it's not more, since it's a 10-minute talk, that's basically the abstract. Looking at how important collaboration is now for business and why being able to expose data through Teams and Yammer and what have you is going to become more important. And then next session is going to be Christopher Unwin talking about the language we use ourselves. It's going to be much less about data and more about what he says himself. It's going to be about introspection, self-awareness, and feedback. So very different from many of the technical tracks, but super interesting anyway. More technical though is going to be the SQL Server Diagnostic Jupyter Notebook. It is what Emmanuel Miazo says it is. So it's going to talk about the Jupyter Notebooks for SQL Server Diagnostics. If you have heard about Glenn Berry's diagnostic scripts, Brent Ozar's first responder kits, and so on and so forth, you're going to be able to relate to this one. This one is a very interesting one, I think. We saw some cool graphics from it yesterday on Twitter. It's a 10-minute walkthrough of a game, an arcade game, built using Power Platform. Yeah, I don't know what more to say, but it's going to be very interesting to see what he has done and how he's going to be able to present it in 10 minutes. Or maybe we're just going to play the game. I don't know. We'll see.
That would be good. Can we all play it? You should ask him. I played with the image I saw yesterday.
Yeah, it's very old school, but still modern design. It looked really good in a comic-y kind of way. Last one on the lightning talk session, or the lightning talk block within my track, is Mike Ibranowski, who's going to talk about the import Excel PowerShell module, which is kind of fun because when we prepared for doing some promotion for Data Weekender, I generated some images for each session, and the PowerPoint deck that we're looking at right now, it is generated using the import Excel module that he's going to talk about. So that was kind of fun. I use it at least every week since I found it, which was kind of recently, but it's super useful. If you haven't seen it, just go to this one. I'm just worried that 10 minutes is going to be a bit short to talk about it, but I'm worried about all the lightning talks, to be honest, that there are, it's so hard to do a 10-minute talk and get some content out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Next up, it's a 60-minute session with Amina Lalani, who's going to talk about Azure SQL Family. So you have everything with Azure SQL Family. You have the Azure SQL database, the VMs, managed instances, and so on. So this is going to be an overview of all the Azure options you have for SQL. Again, if you're looking at migrating to the cloud, you might want to come to this one. And then track number 2 is ending with Kellen, who is going to talk about Azure Infrastructure as a Service if you're a DBA with control issues. Interestingly enough, Kellen has worked mostly with Oracle in her life, but she's now on the Microsoft Azure department or team, and really knows the ins and outs. And I think she's going to talk quite a bit about running Oracle as a service too in Azure. But if you haven't seen Kellen talk, she's one of the best Microsoft in my perspective. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos with their presentations, and they're really awesome. That is track number 2.